Hi everyone, my name is Martina. I studied for a semester in Japan and I've been there for 5 times. So I use this channel to let you have a perfect vacation with all of the knowledge that I made in the last years. And today I want to do a little video about things I wish I knew before going to Japan for the first time. Please, 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 if you're watching this, consider to like, to subscribe, to leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Let's start with the first point on my list. The first point is luggage delivery. And I know that you may have heard it from other videos, but I will give you something that you can use for your own Japan travels, so stay here for it. Traveling to Japan can be quite hard. There are so many stairs. It's so exhausting if you have your luggage with you. And I did it for, I think, 2 trips. And I would never do it again. Last time and the year before, we did like trip to Kyushu, and then the next time we went to northern Japan and back. And honestly, the best thing I did was paying for a luggage delivery, and it cost around $20 to $30 or euro, depends on how big your luggage is, but it is worth every penny, honestly. I would do this again. So basically what you do is go to your hotel reception and ask them if they can help you with luggage delivery. And what you should do, this is like my special advice that I have here, is I always go to booking.com and get my hotel that I'm staying at and switch the language to Japanese and scroll to the point where you can see the address. I write it down for my hotel, and I also write down the phone number from Google Maps. So basically I just copy it from Booking, so it's already in katakana or kanji or hiragana or whatever, so they just have it in a format that they can work with, because if you just say the hotel, they have to look it up and everything. And I'm a person, I already feel bad about asking for help because sometimes there's a lot of stuff going on in the hotel and I feel quite bad. I always like to prepare myself and already have the address ready. If I go to the hotel and I'm like, hey, this is the address, I want to have my luggage delivered here, it is much faster if they just have to write it down and everything is ready. So I will also show you what I write them. I will put it in the caption so you can use it for your next trip. And I always use DeepL for the translation. So I write it in English first, change the dates, and then put it in DeepL. And then in the end, I add the address that I have from booking.com. And then you just go to the reception counter and they do everything for you. And if your hotel doesn't offer it, or if you're staying in an Airbnb, you can just do the same thing in a convenience store. Just make sure that maybe you don't go there when it's super crowded or at a busy time. It can be a bit overwhelming for both you and for the person at the counter. So maybe try to do this at a moment where they have time, where it's quite empty, where they have enough people for it. But honestly, yeah, luggage delivery is just the best, and I will put everything that you need down in the caption. Another point of advice that I have: consider less popular or less known places. Hear me out on that one until the end. First of all, I know that if it's your first trip, you want to go to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and I totally get it, because that was also the thing that I did on my first trip, and funnily also on my last trip. I've visited many parts of Japan, but I feel like Kyoto is so beautiful. I always come back to it. I totally feel that. But hear me out, there are also, first of all, other prefectures that are just as beautiful. For example, Kyushu has so many places. Let me also know in the comments if you would like another video about Kyushu, where I share my schedule with you, where we've been to and what my favorite places were. But also in the north, there are really nice places, like the places that you can visit with the Hokuriku Pass. They are so beautiful. And in the end, you can still do a brief stop in Kyoto. The main thing I want to say, even if you go to Kyoto or Osaka, you can do the touristy things, but usually what I learned, there are so many beautiful and less popular places that you have to yourself if you just go down the next road at one of the popular attractions. Like for example, this year I went to Kiyomizu-dera, and then I just walked for 10 minutes and there was like a place, I'm gonna put the name of the place down here, and it was so beautiful. They even had like a little bamboo garden and buildings. They were so dreamy and nobody was there, and it was just 10 minutes from there. What I want to say is, even if you are at the popular places, still consider to walk like a side street or anything. You will see so many beautiful things. You can't do anything wrong in Japan in terms of sightseeing, because there's so much beauty everywhere. And another thing that also fits in this category is, don't waste your time on the popular places that you see on TikTok, like restaurants. Feel it, it looks cool and everything, but in the end, you are in Japan for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, even longer. But honestly use this time and use it to explore the city, because I've been to Japan so many times and I can count like on one hand on how many bad restaurants I've ever been to, because the food there is just so good. I remember we wanted to go to the tonkatsu place that is super famous on TikTok in Asakusa, and it was like very crowded, so we decided to go to another street and check another restaurant out that had katsudon as well, and it was just so tasty and nobody was there. I was like, why? So this is what I mean, like, don't waste your energy for places that are super crowded or where you have to wait a lot. Consider to go to less popular places. The next point, maybe it's not something for everyone, but theme cafes or reservations. I know Japan is very strict when it comes to that, because usually you have to reserve everything like a month in advance, and it's kind of hard if you don't do it. I recommend you to check the places again and again. Like, for example, for the Pokemon Cafe, you have to do the reservation a month in advance, and it is a bloodbath. I'm gonna be honest. It's just a lot is going on. It's very hard to get tickets. Sometimes you have to wait for 20 minutes and refresh the page, and then they have some slots. But even then it can happen that you don't get a spot at all. And what I noticed last time on my trip is that I just checked in the evening before and I got a spot for the Pokemon Cafe. So don't stress yourself out too much. Same with the Nintendo Museum. For the Nintendo Museum, you have to sign up for a lottery. And if they don't choose you from the lottery, they kind of release the places that haven't been switched into tickets. But it happens on a random day in the middle of the month. So they don't have a set date yet when this happens. And I missed it for the Nintendo Museum and I was sad. And then I checked again on a random day. I had the tab open with the museum, and every day I checked and refreshed. And then I found a spot in the time frame where I'm in Japan. So don't give up if you don't get it. Of course, that's not a guarantee, but you can still get a reservation if you check the day before, or if you check every day if someone has canceled. And same with the Pokemon Cafe, for example. In February, I didn't book any slot for the Pokemon Cafe. I said I'm not doing it this time. I went to the Pokemon Center and they had free slots, and I was like, okay, that's a sign. I have to go in there. It's obviously I can't miss this experience. And also sometimes some cafes have other spots in other cities. For example, I never went to the Kirby Cafe in Tokyo because I heard that the process is also kind of hard. But instead, I booked my slot for the one in Hakata, which is in Kyushu. So if you are in Japan and you want to do a trip to Kyushu anyway, consider to just go to the Kirby Cafe there. It's a bit smaller, and I think also the one in Tokyo is a little bit prettier. But if you want to go there for the food and the experience, and you don't want to do the bloodbath with the tickets, just book this one. I didn't have to wait at all. Like, I think even a week before you could still get tickets. So it's very convenient. Another point, especially for the iPhone users, I used to love the Suica card. Because there's this little penguin on there. But last year I added the card on my Apple Wallet, and it's so much more convenient because I don't have to run to the ticket machine and charge new money on it. And even if I'm in the train and that I don't have anything to do, I can just top up my card. So I can do everything from my phone, and I just have my phone with me anyway. I don't know, for me it's just a very small point, but it helps you so much when you're in Japan. Also consider to do a little calculator if you really need the rail pass, because they increase the prices and everything, so it's not really worth it. And I'm considering to do a little video about Japan rail pass versus Hokuriku Pass. If you are interested in that, let me know in the comments. I will prepare something, because honestly this was a question I had this year. I was considering which pass I should get. In the end I got the Hokuriku one. Also consider if the train even makes sense or any pass makes a sense. Honestly, if you just want to do Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, it usually doesn't make sense. You can also check the flights, because flights are usually even cheaper than that. I will also put a calculator in the caption so you can like count it out if the rail pass makes sense or not for your next trip. And another point, another advice for the rail pass: if you don't need your rail pass from day one, because for me, sometimes I go to Japan and I stay like 3 days in Tokyo and then I need the rail pass. Listen to me, don't exchange it at the airport or at Shinjuku or anything, because it's gonna be so crowded. But instead look up some places that are not like much in the city center, if you have the time, of course. Because for example, what we did last year, we did a day trip to Yokohama. I will also post the vlog here if you want to watch it. And we exchanged the rail pass there. there. And it was the smartest thing that we did, because there was no line at all. We had to wait for one person, and then it was our turn, and we got the rail pass in like a few minutes. While the year before we went to Shinjuku and we had to wait for 30 minutes, and even though we went there very early. If you do a day trip to some spot that is not in the city center, consider that. Maybe it helps you, but for me it's something that I would do again. Another advice that I have, for if you need an item but you can't find it in a store, or it is very expensive in a store. For example, I needed an SD card this year, and I checked all of the stores and it was so expensive. They wanted like twice the price that I saw online. I was like, what is happening? If anyone who knows why, please let me know. But I was like, what the hell? Like on Amazon, it's much cheaper. What you can do in that case, if you don't have any time pressure, you can set up a Japanese Amazon account, and then you can just buy it there and send it to your hotel. It's honestly, I think it sounds maybe complicated, but it's actually pretty easy, because you can find all of the information that you need with the step that I told you with the hotels. And you can even send it to a convenience store if you share your location, so it's even more convenience. That's also a way how you can find a proper address. I checked the SD card, they were very, very expensive, and then on Amazon they were just cheaper. So I ordered it on Amazon and sent it to the hotel, and then I think one day later I already had the SD card, or maybe 2 days later. And it was just such a lifesaver. Even, for example, if you want anything from the Pokemon Center and they don't have it in the store, sometimes they have it online. So just check the stores if you can find it on Amazon and send it to your hotel or a convenience store nearby. And then the last advice that I have, look for a good time to visit Japan, because there are times where it's very, very crowded. For example, the Golden Week. Always look up Golden Week. Always look up Obon. Obon is another like time span where many people have some days off, and it's in August. And August is also a time where a lot of travelers from other countries come, because it's like the summer holiday, summer vacation time. Don't go there when it's Golden Week. Don't go there when it's Obon. I did it. I went to Disneyland during Obon. It was the worst thing I did in Japan. Honestly, don't go there in July, August, and September. It's just like even June. June is rainy season. I want to go there again one day, but on the other hand, it's like rainy season, typhoons can happen and everything. In all of the other months, it's quite nice to go there. Then also, I feel like Hanami, of course, if it's your first time going, it might be something that you want to do, which I totally get, because I made my Hanami experience in Japan. But on the other hand, I don't think I would do it again. And if I would do it, I would not go to Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. I would go to Kyushu or to the north or something. It's just very, very crowded. It's very expensive. If you want to do a budget trip, I would not recommend the cherry blossom time. I really loved October because it was not too cold, it was not too hot, it was perfect for me. There were days where we were walking around in short stuff and a crop top, a skirt, because it was still kind of warmish but not like super humid and hot. Another like super good month, I'm gonna do a video about this too, is February. It was such a surprise for me. It's not too crowded. It's a bit cold, of course. Yeah, the only thing that's not that great. But I have to be honest, I rather prefer the cold over the heat. In the end, I saw early cherry blossoms. I saw snow. Like, it was just such a good decision to go there in February. Okay, everyone, and this was the video. I hope that my advice can help you and can help you make a less stressful trip and, you know, help you have a convenient and nice trip to Japan. If you would like a part 2, let me know in the comments. I would love to do one. Feel free to comment if you have any advice as well. And thank you so much for watching.